So it's just the aliveness that was created by the group that I could only appreciate when I stepped outside, that I was a part of it, right? So, and being able to recognize, okay, there was a bit of hesitation that I had going into it because I didn't know anyone. And that I was able to be a part of something that was created from this. It was vibrant. It was alive. It
was almost like a frequency. You were like, okay, I'm part of that frequency.
Yes.
Welcome to Permission the Podcast. I'm Dr. T, and this is my sister,
Silvana, and we are two regular people talking about spirituality in our daily lives.
Each week, we're inviting you to the internal conversation. So let's get started.
With your permission.
Welcome back to Permission the Podcast. We're glad to be here.
Hi.
This episode is the motivation.
Yeah.
I don't know why we came up with this. Do you remember why we came up with this?
I think we came up with this as we were driving, as you were driving.
As I was driving in Italy?
In Sicily. Fast as hell.
That was wild. That was wild. Was I driving fast?
At times. You're not a slow driver.
Stop it.
You do turn the corners a wee bit fast at times.
I love going fast on corners though. Yeah, because that's fun.
I can feel it. And I'm like, I got used to it.
I mean, good.
It wasn't bad. I mean, I'm not a slow driver, so.
Yeah, I don't think you're slow.
I don't think I take the corners the way you do, though, that fast.
Because
unwinding roads like the ones in Sicily. Yeah.
Well, driving in Sicily was wild, though.
It was wild because the roads are narrow. You got to share the road. At times you have to sort of get so close to the edge. And I'm like, are we going to hit something?
No, come on. We didn't ever hit anything.
No, you were good.
I mean, I did drive the rim into a curb, but
it was the curb's fault.
It was the curb's fault on both sides. That's funny. When before we started the episode, I had this Rihanna song in my head. Wild Thoughts. You know that song, right?
Yes.
So I kept saying, wow, wild thoughts. And now we're talking about my wild driving. It's all
connected.
Wild thoughts. Yeah. So.
Okay. Since we already talked about Sicily, let's start with our trip.
Well, my trip started before your trip.
Oh, yeah. Well.
You don't want to talk about that.
No, you can actually. You can talk about you. So we met in Sicily.
We did.
And the idea to go to Sicily it was Paola's, her sister in Ireland. She booked her vacation with her family to go to Sicily for 2 weeks.
We fucking hijacked her family vacation.
I said to my son, hey.
Was it you or was it me?
It was me. I hijacked it. So I said, hey, to Brendan, my oldest son. I said, Paola, the kids and Steven, they're going to Sicily for 2 weeks. And he goes like, oh, can we go? And I'm like, that's a great idea. So I asked Paola, do you mind if we come? And she said, no, it's good. And then Brandon was unable to go. But since I said I was going, then you signed up to crashing their vacation. And
right,
you bought
because
your
what are you
ticket
guys
right
gonna
away.
do? What are you guys gonna do without me?
Yeah, you bought your ticket right away. And then when Brandon said, I can't go, then I'm like, well, Ted is going now. I have to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it wasn't because you were going to spend more time with Paola. I couldn't have that.
Yo,
It wasn't because of that. Although you did made a joke about it.
like I can't be the one that has QT with Paola.
Yeah. And then I thought, well, maybe she's right. No.
Right. And
nah.
then I thought the same thing, like, what are you guys gonna do without me?
Exactly. Eat a lot of pasta, pizza. So good.
Plus, that's like the fun part. Going to Italy is like, man, it's my favorite food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, apart from Peruvian food, but also
I think it's my second favorite probably.
my second favorite food. And my favorite all-time food is my mom making pasta. So like,
yeah.
I don't know. I did try, I don't know, 10 different meat sauces from 10 different places.
Yes, you did. Are you going to talk about your pre-trip, your pre-Sicily?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. I need to talk about that. So I kind of invited myself. To Red's partner's 40th birthday.
Oh, so you were doing all this
inviting. I was inviting myself all over the place. And that's not really my MO.
Right. Okay.
Like, I'm not just inviting myself to places. And
I can only imagine, since they mentioned France, you were like, yeah, I need to go.
Red was like, oh yeah, so I'm thinking of renting a chateau in Bordeaux and blah blah blah. And I was like, you had me at chateau, so
you had me at
so I was like, yeah, I really want to go. Initially I was aggressive with it, right? Like, I'm going. And then I was actually serious and I said, I mean, I don't have to go. Right? Like, I know I made the first move and invited myself or whatever. And feel free to just not invite me to begin with.
To keep it.
Because I wasn't actually invited. I just said, I'm going.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But then I did get a proper invitation.
Oh.
Which
didn't surprise you after all the inviting you did of yourself.
Right. No, I was not surprised. When Red sends an email, she means business. It's like a serious thing. So when she sends an email, when she sends a calendar invite, which I absolutely love her calendar invites. It makes me feel like it's really serious, Who sends you a calendar invite? Nobody. I mean, somebody. Sure. So I lost my train of thought there for a second. Okay. So then it started becoming serious and we were talking about time frames, locations. She started inviting other people. Anyway, yada, yada, yada. I feel like my biggest concern about the trip was the fact that Red was going to be the hostess with the mostest. And she was just going to be hella, preoccupied and, doing all the hosty things. Her partner, Spice Boy, that's a different story, was going to be, in his whole element because everyone's there just for him, right?
Right.
He's turning 40. He did turn 40. It just happened to be on my birthday month, which was spectacular as well. May is my birthday month. And so I was like, okay, do I actually want to go? But I really did want to go. My concern was, okay, the people that I do know are going to be preoccupied with other things. So I did know one other person, which it was, is a colleague of Spice Boy, and they work at the same organization together. And I had met him a couple of times beforehand. And so that was comforting to know that there was going to be one other person there. And we had a little bit of planning that we did together with him. And that was nice. And that was encouraging for me to know that someone else was going to be there that I knew that didn't know everyone else. So he only knew me and them as well.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, we're going to be two peas in a pod, in a foreign pod. Right. So because Spice Boy is Romanian, and there were people that were coming in from there. Not necessarily that all the people were coming from there, but that their backgrounds were from there. Like, he had a lot of people that he knew from grade school that went, and that was awesome.
Whoa.
Right?
Okay.
So after the trip, not to get ahead of myself, after the trip, I kind of like kept saying, oh my God, you are so loved, to him. I feel like at one point he was able to receive that, like, and then he was like, yeah, like at one point he was kind of like head bopping and
like, yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. And it kind of made me think of Dr. Joe Dispenza, feel it. Like, I was kind of like, come on, bro. This is kind of special. And I felt that even with the preparation. So going back to before I went, there were a lot of prepping emails and things. And that was, a buildup. And I was like thinking, okay, what am I going to do in a weekend where I don't know anybody? And, I'm pretty introverted. Like, when I don't know people, I can be pretty introverted. I also am not the type of person to talk about the weather. I'm not the type of person that's like, hey, do you want to slice the weather in 100 different ways? And this is what we're talking about. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Even with, I have building staff downstairs, like front desk people, like, the people that, the door people, the greeter, the whatever. And there's this one person that we only talk about the weather.
You mean downstairs in your building?
Downstairs. And I'm like, I really have no business talking to this person about the weather. I really don't. I need to just, when I see this person, I just need to do a head bob. I have headphones on. Like, I need to just keep walking. I do not need to have a conversation about the weather with this person. So then, before, like, building up to it, I was thinking, okay, I know I don't like to talk about the weather, and I'm not a weather talking person. Is how I would frame it. And then I thought, fuck it. I can be a weather enthusiast. I can be superficial. I can do the nothing burger about,
I'm sorry, I'm getting tense. What?
I can do it.
Sure you can, but why are you saying this to yourself?
Because if there's nothing else, I can relate. I can meet people where they're at. And if we come to the table and we sit and break bread and there's a nothing burger, I'm just going to have to fuck around with a nothing burger,
Okay.
So I was kind of like,
you were preparing yourself for the unknown and the worst thing that could happen. Why?
That would not be the worst thing that I could. No, that's not the worst thing that could happen. And also, it was just a fleeting thought. So it's not like I spent hours and hours thinking like, oh, I don't know these people. I'm not going to have anything to say. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to say anything. I'm just going to, blah, blah, blah. It was more of just like, fuck it. I decided to go. I'm going to go. I don't know if I'm going to get on well with these people. Right. That's the extent of the thought. And and I went and it went really well. Like, it went surprisingly well. Like, so well, I was blown away by how well it went. So I feel like the things that stood out about the trip was just the fact that I was meeting everyone for the first time, and pretty much everyone there had relationships beforehand, meaning they knew each other across time. And I was just able to kind of like integrate into this group and connect in a way that was kind of, I was surprised, like genuinely surprised at how well I got along with people. And there was no weather talk. One of the conversations that stood out was, so it was a Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday. And then Sunday we went back to Paris. Four of us went back to Paris, but that's I'll get to that. On Saturday, I kind of like started this conversation. We had a trip to a vineyard, and there was this whole thing. And after that, I got back to the place with everyone, and I was getting ready, and I thought about going to mass actually in the evening time before dinner. I got showered, got dressed, and just, it was too close to the time that I wasn't going to make it on time. And I was like, I'm just not even going to do it. So I decided not to go, even though that would have been super cool. And I started having a conversation instead. I started having a conversation with 3 of the women there. And, I don't even know how it started. I think it started with no, it did. It started with school-age children and sex differences. And I'm all about that. Like gender differences, sex topics, and how men and women are different, but it starts, gender-wise, they're different, but also sex-wise and capabilities and functioning and relationships. And that actually, those male-female differences in school-age children led to conversations about men and women in relationship. And so that's my yum. That's my area of I can talk about this forever.
Expertise.
So then I was starting to get into okay, but the expectations of women and men are being left behind. They're really struggling. Here's why. And the school system isn't made for anyone, boys and girls, but it's especially difficult for boys. And then it went into relationships. And then we started talking about our own personal relationships. And it was just it kind of went so in depth that I really was able to connect. And it was fascinating. So we started that conversation. And right before we started it, one of the women was saying how they were going to go on a walk. She was going to go on a walk and invited people to go. I think we had agreed on going, me and her, because she said it and I was the only one there or something like that. Anyway, 20 minutes into the conversation or 30 minutes into the conversation, she's like, okay, I'm going on this walk because if it doesn't happen now, it won't happen. So then I said, oh, right, I'm going with you. We had just started, this conversation started 30 minutes into it. And the other 2 women were like, what the hell? You're taking the conversation, with you. And so they decided to come to keep talking. And that's how kind of we got into it. But I was having pretty good moments of connection in that way that really surprised me.
Good.
Yeah, very good. And my most favorite moment of the trip, and I'll end it with this.
Which
because
trip?
The trip to France. I'll end it with this because it was the moment that stood out. And also a moment I reflected on in real time, and also a moment that I processed while I was there with the people there. So that was just it was a lot. So that conversation with the gender conversation happened. And then there was a dinner that was planned, and Red had hired a chef. And that was the first time I had that experience, which was great. And kind of right after the dinner, maybe before dessert, but I don't. We we were at this table that was really long, and it was, I want to say there were 15 of us. I don't know if that's accurate, but roughly 15 of us, and we were at one table, which was great. That's the best. And I walked away from the table to get something. I think I was like cold or something. I walked away to get a sweater. And there were 2 levels to the home, and I was in a room upstairs, and the upstairs had like a outside area, like a patio, kind of. Just like an outside area upstairs.
Like a balcony.
Yeah, like a had a balcony. And I was standing out there. It was pitch black. Not pitch black, but it was nighttime.
Did you Titanic the moment? No. Okay, sorry. I was standing there alone. I couldn't see anything.
It was nighttime, and we were in a vineyard, so there were rows and rows of like grapes and stuff. And the only
vines, you mean?
Vines and
grapes and stuff.
Yeah. And the only light that that was really loud was coming from the home. So like there was this room, and I was upstairs. There was this room downstairs that was kind of vibrant with light, but also sound and laughter and music and the sound of just people really connecting. And that, walking away from it, you hear the muffle of it because you can't actually make out words or no actual conversation, right? So it's just the aliveness that was created by the group that I could only appreciate when I stepped outside, that I was a part of it, right? So, and being able to recognize, okay, there was a bit of hesitation that I had going into it because I didn't know anyone. And that I was able to be a part of something that was created from this. It was vibrant. It was alive. It
was almost like a frequency. You were like, okay, I'm part of that frequency.
Yes.
You were vibrating at, that's great.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Exactly. And it almost felt, there was a moment of, this is so interesting because I am an outsider to this group. And at the same time, there's a piece of it that together we created a aliveness that I couldn't feel anything other than belonging because I was a part of the creating of the thing.
Without you, it was incomplete.
Right.
Right.
And it was only when I stepped outside that I felt the contrast of, oh, I'm a part of it. But I had to take an objective step back to really appreciate what I was a part of in the contrast of the night. And I was just like, wow.
That's cool.
This is wow. And later in the evening, when we all walked away from the table, I was able to actually process that exact moment because someone asked, like, what was the highlight of your day? And I was like, oh, I got one for you. And what's funny is that question came from a therapist. So like there was a therapist there, and she asked this. There were three other. It was me, the therapist, some other chick, and the dude that I knew from New York. And we were talking about, okay, highlights of the day. And she kind of asked the question, and I was like, oh, I got you. That was awesome. So even just layers, right? Because then I was able to process it right after it had just happened.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling to feel like you belong to a community, to a pod, to whatever. It's just a magical feeling of, but also the knowing of it. Because sometimes you're there, but you don't know. And it's also, to me, reminds me of how I felt like when I understood about the oneness. You know, I'm like, I am this important piece in this everything. And without me, it's incomplete. It's like a puzzle missing the last piece, you know? And so understanding that and feeling that, it's an amazing, I don't know, it's enlightenment in a way, right? It's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's definitely layered. And then, you know, more points of connection. We did a middle of the night walk to a cemetery. That was
How
fun.
cool.
That was fun. That was fun as hell.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we went back to Paris, and you know how I feel about Paris. Paris is love of my life. I love Paris. So Paris was Paris. You know, I always say I'm always in love in Paris because I love Paris.
Okay. And in New York?
New York is my wife.
Okay.
I have to put up with her. She has to put up with me. Yeah, and then I hired a car for the first time out of the US, and I drove that trip was in Sicily. It was the first time I drove out of the US.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that bananas?
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you did it.
I'm such a good driver.
I'm glad you did it, Nami. Because you handle it great.
Good driver.
You're a good driver. Yeah. I enjoy very much our trip. I feel like there was a lot of moments of like, whoa. When you were talking about what was your favorite part of the trip, and one of my favorite parts of the trip was, besides just being in the same place with you and Paola and Steven and
the kids.
It was the hike we did. And
dude, that was wasn't that the best part? That was literally the best part.
San Vito the couple. It was so amazing. There was an idea of doing it on a boat, right? And going to different beaches and faster. And you're like, no, let's go for the hike. And I'm like, yeah, let's go for the hike. And it was amazing. And the view was breathtaking. And I was just soaking it all in. And as I was walking, because I'm walking on my rhythm, I would at times connect with Paola, at times connect with Steven, at times connect with one of the kids. And it was just fabulous. And then at one point, you were like running, right? Like you were like, oh, I need to get my word. I need to get my word in. I need to you felt like it's so slow pace for you. You needed your New York pace, and you started running. And you wanted me to run. And I'm like, you know what? I'm so enjoying. And I'm like, Daddy, are you enjoying this? Because running means you have to really focus on the ground. And I just couldn't take my eyes off of the whole picture. Like the ocean, the rock formations and all of those cactuses, and I was in heaven. And all of these weird flowers I've never seen, and I was like, okay. Did I wanted to run? Part of me wanted to run, and then part of me is like, no, and just enjoy the view. And what did I say to you today? I run at my own pace, or I'm going at my own pace. You can't rush a turtle, right? Turtle will
Yep.
will get where it needs to get. But at its own pace, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to, sidetrack, but I'm going to get to where I need to get at my own pace and enjoy it as I'm walking along it. And I thought that was fascinating of how we do things. We're different, right? We're different.
We are very different.
Right? Yes, you like, I want to break things. I want to blah. And I'm like, look at how beautiful this is.
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
the sun. Look at the moon, the stars. Like, look at how everything's connecting. So I'm like, we're very different that way. But at the same time, we're going to the same place.
We're going in the same direction.
Yeah. We're going in the same direction. We're doing this, we're collaborating. We're doing all of these things together. And I'm like, and I thought that was magical. I could watch you run and I could be inspired by it. Now we're talking about what motivates you, what inspires you, right? Like this is the topic, although we've been talking 35 minutes about our travels. It was inspiring to watch you run. And
was I
like,
running? I was just going fast.
You were running out at certain parts of it, not the whole, it was hot. No, but like there were parts that you were like out running. So we started calling you Chusky.
Which was an Inca mail carrier.
Like a messenger, right? And so you would be out and I would be like, look at her, and I was so happy for you that you were running. And I was sending like, oh my God, she's amazing, right? And I'm going at my own pace, I'm enjoying, but I'm also enjoying you, watching you run. So you became part of everything I was admiring, right?
Had energy to burn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how lovely it was to just go to the beaches. They were rocky, they were beautiful. The water was amazing colors. I will post some pictures of our trip and I'm going to make an awesome reel about us traveling in Sicily.
So we started doing some rituals during the trip that were continuing. We started before the trip, right?
Really?
Not really.
It really, like we started with the concept of it. We started with like the idea of how we wanted to do it. And and it was based on the books we were listening to. Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life was definitely the book that got us started into this ritual of writing about what we are attracting, what we want to be, what we feel we are already. And so we started writing it 3 times a day, also reading it out loud and recording it, sending it to each other, right?
Our goals.
And so first we needed to get down with like, okay, how do we want to write it? Because we're going to write it.
We started formulating it.
Yeah.
During
and so
the trip.
we were making it because it was long and we were trying to make it concise. Well, if we are this, then we don't really need this because that means we can do all of this if we have this. Okay. And so we were like, made it shorter because we were going to write it every day and 3 times. And so it was fabulous. Besides that, we were meditating. So we had like this routine or ritual, I don't know. We would meditate by the beach.
Or somewhere outside.
Wherever
by a cathedral. Because, I'll just put in the fact that my 2 cents here is that my sisters like to travel like psychotic people.
Nah, this one wasn't that bad.
This trip. And so there was an agenda that was pretty nuts. I was there for the ride. I had no 2 cents about it. The trip was planned sans moi. I did not have any input as to what we were doing.
Because you didn't want to have an input.
Well, no, because the trip was planned by Paola before we were even a thought.
Crashing it. Yes, that's true.
So she had this whole itinerary that started with landing from one airport and leaving from a whole other airport and driving all throughout in between. So it was a lot, and there was a lot of movement, and there were day trips, and there were things, and I never knew what we were going to do until someone told me, hey, we're doing this, or tomorrow is checkout. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Exagerada.
Psychotic.
You exaggerate. Because
psychotic.
Paola would tell us, she gave us okay, this is where we're going. She sent a lot of information in the group and the WhatsApp, which you didn't read. And then she would say, okay, we're going to be here for 3 nights. There were 2 places we were there for 3 nights. And so there were like, the rest spots.
My friends were like, I'm going to need to talk to your sister about your itinerary so I know where you're at. It's like, what? Sure. Why not?
That would be Carcar and Smith. Yeah.
So it was psychotic, but it was psychotic light.
Yeah, because we've done psycho.
Not psychotic on steroids.
Yeah.
It was psychotic light.
It was fun.
But the morning routine, I felt like really helped me. Like, helped me anchor my day, helped me kind of get started on the right foot.
Yeah.
We did 1 hour meditation, and then we did our little writing. And because we were together, we said
we will read it for each other,
the thing out loud. So that was actually really helpful.
And it became something we've been doing every day after the trip. So, but we knew we were doing this, and we're probably did we say how long we're going to do it for? About a year?
No, we're going to do it until it happens.
It's already happened.
Right.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So, we're going to just do it and keep doing it.
We're going to keep doing the
whatever.
ritual until it has been satisfied to the best of its ability.
And then we'll move on to something else. But
yeah,
that was amazing. And, talking about motivation again, right? This is the subject, right? We're talking about motivation.
Yeah. Yes.
And so that was when you do it with someone else, when you're doing it on your own, Yes, you can find ways to motivate yourself, like, you know, things more, or you turn something into a habit, a ritual, a daily ritual, which I have. And but it's amazing to have someone else to do it with you because you're checking with that person. The minute Teresa sends me her stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta send mine. Or sometimes I send mine first. But it just keeps you like, okay, like
Keeps you
it
focused.
keeps you focused. It keeps you like, okay, I can let her down and she can let me down. And so it's an amazing, it's a checkpoint, it's an amazing thing to have someone to do it with. Now, can you do it alone? Absolutely. I have stuff that I do every day on my own that I do every day. My gratitude routines, all of these things.
At the same time, I feel like there's another layer to it with accountability.
That's
so
yeah.
So even if you're not working on the same thing, ours just happens to be we are working on the same thing with our adventures that we're doing. So it makes sense for us to, there's so much overlap with what we're trying to do that it makes sense for us to do it together.
Yeah.
And even if we weren't focused on doing the same thing or having the same goal, we could still be accountability partners, right? Yeah. It's the same thing I do with writing partners as well. So when I meet up with one of my writing partners, we're both working on different things and we're essentially accountable for each doing our own work, even though it's separate work. Yeah. It's just that accountability piece that is pretty valuable.
But the other thing that feels nice, for me at least, is that as you are sending me what you write in your goals and your every day and reading it to me, I'm listening to it. I read it and then I listen to it. But as I'm reading your thing, it's like, that's also mine because I'm part of that amazing circle. I'm part of that inner circle that you have and that you mention in your thing. And so I'm like, this is, I'm in there too. So that connection between both of our goals and how we, I guess, intersect because we want the same thing, it feels like it's amplified because you are manifesting that. I'm manifesting the same thing. And so both of us, it's making this, it's kind of like going to the retreat, right? To the Joe Dispenza retreat. We're all meditating the same thing. And that creates this intensity. It makes him bigger. And I don't know if you're feeling that.
Absolutely. Because we're on the same page. We have the same goal. It makes it easier to move towards it together because we are working together.
Exactly.
Okay. So do you feel like motivation is just being disciplined?
No. But it is very useful to be disciplined and doing it. And I think you need more than that. It's like asking in a relationship, is love enough?
Hell no.
Love the feeling,
I
love
hate
the
when
action.
people say that.
Right.
That's another conversation I had in 100 million.
100 million?
Yeah, I had a hard time saying that. So because we started talking, well, the conversation started with, school-aged children. And we started talking about love and love being a thing or a factor or whether that's enough or not. And I was like, fuck love. I mean, sure, yes, love.
I love love. I love love and love being in love.
I love being in love. I love falling in love. I love all the things with love. I love having a crush. Which is a weird one for some of my friends. Are like, you love having a crush? That's terrible. It's like, no, it's great.
But it's about what you're feeling, right? And all of the emotions you're feeling, but love in general. And I'm not talking just about a partner, unconditional love, all kinds of love.
Love. So, love. Okay, love.
So you're talking about motivation, discipline. Is discipline enough?
Love is not enough.
Discipline is not enough.
Discipline is a whole different animal that we have, in the books to talk about at some other stage. Motivation is unreliable.
Did your computer agree with you? I saw
yes, my computer did a thumbs up. Motivation is unreliable, and so I feel like what helps me is to really embed the whole values thing into it, because values definitely motivates me. And sometimes people say that you need motivation to do something. Sometimes people say when you start doing something, you feel motivation. I don't know what it is, and I'm not really interested in dicing that up.
The egg or the chicken?
Okay. Yeah, it's like it's a weird conversation. It doesn't matter. Definitely, I really focus on values and priorities in my life, and that creates incentive for me to take action. And that motivates me to do the thing.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily about discipline. And at the same time, I take myself to do the thing.
Right. So, I mean, it's definitely part of the equation, discipline, to have it. But at the end, it's like, what's driving you to me is like, oh, it's, you talked about your values and what drives me is, that, but also the vision of it, like, this is what I want. And this is how you get there. So, is it like a map? Mappa. So it's following that map and it's, and are there going to be distractions in that, oh, look, this might be nice here, or might be nice if we go this way, but it could be nice, but it's not what we're focusing on.
Okay. So during this trip, at least in Sicily.
Yeah, Google Map wasn't doing a great job.
Google Map, bro. During this trip, I was motivated to go into churches.
All of them. I want to go to church. I'm like, okay. Do you want to go? I'm like,
and part of that was just exposure and access and accessibility and ease. Am I going to churches every day here? No. Did I go because I had endless time of not working and you guys doing psychotic things and every corner had a church? Like every corner has a Starbucks. Come on.
There's a lot of churches, and they're like and they're like museums. They're beautiful churches.
Oh, and what the fuck was that? Like, you had to pay? So they rebranded churches, slapped on the name of museum, and you had to pay?
I said they didn't put the name of a museum. I'm saying they like
did a
museum.
rebranding and they wanted to charge us.
I think
for our devotion.
She went to a couple of churches and there was a fee to get in.
I was outraged.
And she was just like, I'm not paying to go pray in a church.
Here's what I'm not doing. I'll go a block and a half another direction and happen upon a church that I can just walk into and kneel. Whatever. Why was I so mad about that? I'm still mad about it.
No, I don't know.
Rebranding, bro. Whatever.
I don't know why you're still talking about it. But anyway.
Well, okay, so it started with I was motivated to go into churches because they were there. And sometimes it happens. So sometimes we get motivated to do things because of exposure, because of the ease, because there aren't barriers to do it, right? And that's sometimes what happens with, for example, gyms. Sometimes when you live in a certain location and you have a gym that's right next to it, and say your best friend goes there, or your next door neighbor, there's motivation and less barriers. And that's what happened with me and the church. Was there something like that for you where there were less barriers to do something during this trip that created motivation for you to do something?
Well, there was definitely the early morning meditations. I normally go early morning to hot yoga. I don't meditate that early. But it was lovely to just wake up and meditate for an hour. Now, was it more the motivation was just like, we're sharing a room so I could hear you get ready. I wasn't setting an alarm. You were waking me up. So that was perfect.
Yeah. Barriers to whatever. I was facilitating that for you, not having barriers.
Yeah, I didn't have to set my alarm. I mean, and at times we were going to bed late, but we still were getting up early to do the routine, the meditation. We knew we would catch up our seas and the sleep at the beach.
The beach. Okay, so pain is sometimes the original motivator. That's unfortunate, but that happens. When we experience a pain point, I experience pain, and then I'm motivated to change. I mean, my biggest pain point recently was heartbreak, from the divorce. And I feel like I completely changed into a whole different person.
I know. And so how beautiful that is, right? The alchemy of it. The alchemy of turning thorns into roses. You know what I mean? Just coming out of wherever you are and just being the biggest, the amazing newest version of yourself, the cool version of yourself.
Cool.
There's something else amazing that happened this trip. And it was the morning we sat at the cafe and I was trying to explain something to you and you were like, explain it to me differently. And I'm like, okay. You had connected with someone and you were so into this person and I can see
Girl.
how amazing you felt.
Yeah.
How amazing this connection was making you feel. And at the same time, based on what you told me, I knew it wasn't the connection you are looking for. And so I was what I did was like, okay, I don't want to rain on your parade. Like, it's amazing to feel all of these things you're feeling.
I don't think you did rain on my parade.
But I just I'm like, okay, let me deliver this in a way that you can understand. Right? Or a simple way, like, and so I explained it and you were like, give me a different example. And I'm
An
like,
analogy,
okay.
a metaphor.
A metaphor.
And it was perfect.
And I went like, okay. This right here, the salt shaker, this is billions. You want to be a billionaire. And the pepper shaker here, that's $10,000. Does it feel nice to get $10,000? Sure, it feels nice to get $10,000. But entertaining $10,000 is going to always just bring $10,000. And you were like, wow, okay. Thank you. I understand.
Yeah.
And just it's not the explaining of it that was amazing, although I am pretty good at doing that at times. It was more like the being that person for you. The being the person that taps you in the shoulder and goes like, I think what you want to do is go that way straight, not to the right. Like the map, like it's like you're sidetracking. Is it a nice view over there? Sure, it's a nice view.
It's a great view. It's a beautiful view.
Yeah, does it feel great to go over there too? Sure. And so just being that person for you felt nice. I'm like, okay, we're good.
I mean, it's also good to have people in your life that can see you clearly and has an understanding of what you value and what you want out of life, like what you're striving for in life, and can do that, like tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I know you, I see you, I know what you value, I know what you prioritize, I know where you're headed, or where I know where you're trying to go, and that's where you're going, and this is just not in line with that. That's magic.
Right. It did feel magical to be able to be that person for you. And to be that person for friends, like I've been that person for friends. And I don't think, or maybe with your divorce, maybe I also was a little bit of that.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
But like prior to that, I don't think we've ever had these sort of moments. But it just felt nice. Like, okay, it's a great feeling to be able to deliver something, but to see you accept it. Right.
Right. And I feel like that is the function of pain as well. It's a misalignment with something, right? Like whether it's exhaustion or heartbreak or burnout or the experience of anxiety, a health scare, something. It's I feel like it can go into the category of misalignment and being able to acknowledge, okay, how can I walk away from something and walk towards something that makes more sense? Which I feel like brings us right back into the values conversation, because values is a stronger motivator than anything else, right? Because if you value something, then it's going to inherently come with things to action on, right? So that creates its own motivation.
Okay, I have one last thought about the trip. The trip was amazing. If you ask me which town I loved the most, they were all beautiful and it was fabulous. And just being in the company of family. But then I had to fly out of Palermo. And I took a bus, a three and change hour bus to Palermo. And I took a night at a hotel there. I ended up walking 11 miles all over Palermo. And it was amazing. So I arrived there around 4:00 and I just walked, and I ended up running into a Catholic procession. Is it called a procession or what is it called?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah. And it was everything I remember as a kid. You know, they had the saint, they were carrying it, they had a band, they were praying. We had gone to another little town where there was one and we were excited about it. And Paul and I went to check it out with Steven and the kids. And it was just people walking. There was, and praying. And I was like, yeah, this wasn't it. That took 5 minutes. We're like, we're out. But I ended up finding that and having that feeling of like, oh, I remember being a kid and loving these, and I bought myself my last gelato. The guy that served me the gelato was so handsome, Tere. Like, I was like ridiculous. Like, I thought, I'm like, is this a show? Like, are you kidding? Anyway, the gelato guy was beautiful. And I was like, okay, interesting. Then I'm going out about walking around. I ended up eating dinner at the place the guy at the hotel recommended. It was amazing. I had a ragu. It was so good.
What?
It was so good, and it was made with pork.
Yo.
Ground beef, like not ground beef, it was ground pork, and it was so tasteful. And I was like, Teresa would have loved this.
Yeah, I'm dead.
And so I had that. I did have a glass of wine with it. It was just so relaxing. I'm like, I'm like taking myself out to dinner. And then I walked around and I saw the four corners, the market, the cathedral. And I got to the cathedral in Palermo at night, and it was just beautiful. And I was walking around the gardens. There was this guy playing music on the side street. So it was just like, it felt like magical. And I was smiling, I was looking, smiling, and I was being grateful for the trip, for me, for just loving being with me, I'm in this moment of my life. I'm in love with myself. And so just like loving being with me in my own skin. I can see myself in my apartment when I'm here alone, when I'm creating art, and how much joy I get from just being with me. And I'm just gonna say, I like being nude. I like, I like sleeping nude. I like, the other day I meditated nude. And it's just like stuff I can do because I'm in my own space and with myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm loving that. And I was just being so overwhelmed with all of this, like, oh, I love all of this. and I'm being grateful to the universe. And then I go like, hey, that doesn't mean I don't want my, to have my sacred partner or divine partner, like, just so you know, I do want that. That's in the cards for me. And so I kept walking around, and then I went behind the cathedral. And as I was coming back, I was passing by the musician that was playing the guitar, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna give him whatever change I had. I had €2, and I'm like, I'm just gonna give him that, because it was kind of like everything felt like I don't know, like a scene of a movie. Me flowing, the music. It was like I had my own background music. I felt like I was part of this movie, right? And so the minute as I'm walking near the musician, he says to me, ciao. And I said, ciao. And I put the coin down. And the minute I put the coin down, he goes, I love you.
Yo.
And I probably had the biggest smile, and I just touched my face, and I went like this. I did not do eye contact with him again after that. Like, I knew this was a message from the universe. Like, I knew it had nothing to do with the guy. And I was just like, because I just like talking about how I do want love. And it was just like the universe saying, you got all the love. And so he said, I love you. And I touched my face, and I looked up to the sky. And then I did tap my chest, like, of gratitude to him, but I did not. And I didn't look at him again, which was weird. And then I just turned around, and this, like, I am loved. Like, I was in ecstasy, and I almost felt like dancing. And now I use that moment to bring me back to that feeling. You know how Dr. Joe says, and remember this feeling. And so whenever my mind, wherever it's going, that I don't want it to go in the direction I want it to go, I can see myself dropping that €2 on the guy's guitar case, which had green velvet. Like, I could just see the green velvet, like my coin touching that, and hearing, I love you. And that joy and just all of the gratitude and everything I felt, just feeling that. So I'm using that as a reset. Like, that's my new reset thing I have. And so I can just see that coin and feel that coin in my fingers and putting it down. And so where am I going with all of this? Is that we are, and we have everything we need inside of us. Love, gratitude, like all of that feeling of happiness. We are all of that. We're light. We are. And that's my motivation. I am my motivation. I am that drive. I can just use something, a moment that it may seem like, oh, I can use just that moment to reset me into feeling that.
I love that. What an amazing, like, visceral thing to take away. So my last piece that I'm going to say about this trip, it kind of connects with coming back, actually, which is identity. I don't know if I realized how much I talk about CrossFit.
Oh my God.
That's so funny, because when I came back, one of my CrossFit peeps posted like a thing on the group chat from Instagram, and it was kind of like someone asking about CrossFit, and the person like hours later looking all like exhausted or annoyed or whatever, and I was like, oh my God, that's me.
I don't think there was a day that went by without you mentioning CrossFit.
Listen, when it is what it is, it is what it is. So
it is your passion, though. So I get it. What was I talking about? I brought my salsa shoes to the trip just in case. Just in case I could find a place to salsa dance. And I
did not bring my grips. Okay. So so part of what helps motivate behavioral change is really looking at your identity and how you speak, because talking is spell casting.
Absolutely.
And what you say is commanding. So when I say I can or I can't, it's a command that I'm placing on myself and my body and my mind and all the things. And, the identity with CrossFit is essentially what the thread that is the strongest for me is I am a person that does hard things, is the thread for me. And that's the value, right? And I don't know who but at some point I started saying cult, or I mean community.
No, you've called it a cult.
And that's what I was. I often say culty, but then I say, I say cult. I mean community. That's how I say it.
Yeah.
And people subscribe to that. But the identity piece is, I'm a person that does hard things, right? And throughout this trip, I was not going. I could have dropped into a box. I didn't. I feel some sort of way about that now. Now I feel some sort of way about it, meaning in the future, when I take longer trips, I'm going to have to figure out how to do more of a routine. I know we had a morning routine and that was really helpful. I'm going to need to do more of a routine regarding my exercise. I came back and went to class and I felt something.
I know what you're going to say.
Or frustrated or something about my regression.
I felt that way about my yoga. Like, wait, I think I was doing this a little better before the trip.
And
I felt that way about my salsa too. Like I was like so on this, making all of these moves, and now I'm like getting my toes wet again. But it was okay. I'm back. It's like riding a bike, did it?
Yeah.
Your body knows.
And I was talking to someone about it who said, but you were away for a long time. It's to be expected. Just don't look at it from the lens of what you lost. Look at it from the lens of, this is a starting off point and you can progress from here. And I was like, that's right. And I was like, exactly what I needed to hear, exact motivation to keep me going, because I am a person that does hard things. And I'm leveraging my identity to say, right, even though I'm experiencing a bit of regression here, because I am, I still have an identity of a CrossFitter, but also a person that is fit, a person that is very strong. And from here, I can keep doing, I can keep progressing, moving forward. The identity piece shapes what we do, our behaviors, and creates motivation around it. So when we say things, spellcasting, that is, I need, I can't, or I should.
Or even I want. Like that means you don't have it.
Exactly.
And so that's why I'm like, no, we have it.
That's the power of I am, right? I am
strong.
that I am, right?
Yes, absolutely. You're a fucking machine.
I am. Okay. So I feel like everything starts with a permission. Permission to reflect. Permission to reflect on your identity. Permission to be the person that you want to be, to facilitate the motivation and actions that you want to go towards and the values that you want. Permission to not hold yourself back. Permission to motivate yourself, right?
Permission to be you. Shine your light. Receive. Permission to receive.
Permission to be. Permission to do.
Yeah. Permission for everything. I mean, permission to know you. And to know when or I guess what I'm trying to say is that the hardest thing you can do is be someone else, pretend you're someone else. And so as you are peeling those layers and just being yourself, it feels so comfortable. It feels so at home. That easy feeling, like that peace, that happiness, so just permission to be you.
So the call to action here is give yourself permission to motivate yourself. That's the biggest call to action this week.
Yeah. And follow with action. Right? Follow with action. And don't let, don't let yourself down, but in a way it's like if you do, just pick it back up.
Right.
It's not important how many days you stop doing something. What's more important is when you picked it back up again.
And getting those reps in. What's funny is that I just recently, someone said this to me recently. You can take the man out of the church, but you can't take the church out of the man.
And you do that for the gym. You can take the box.
Take me out of the box.
I said something to a friend of mine because we were talking about, we had gone out after a salsa event and she was like, oh, I'm tired. My hair is she's messy, whatever. And I'm like, oh, don't you just love when your hair is just messy? That means you've danced salsa, you've had sex, you have done exercise. Like all of these beautiful things happen when your hair is all a mess.
Dude, literally, sometimes when I work out, I don't put my hair up. I just leave it down. I've made this association with like maybe I need to wash it less because BB tells me I don't need to wash my hair that much, but that's a different story. Anyway, so there are times when I go work out and I have my hair down, and someone at the box was like, dude, when you finish a workout, like your hair looks amazing. And I was like, yeah, that's what it looks like after sex as well. Yes.
Exactly. So I was trying to, and your computer agrees. Because I was trying to tell that friend, like, no matter how tired you are or whatnot, or how your hair looks, nobody can take away all the dancing we did.
Exacto. I didn't know you liked walking around naked. I should have assumed, but I do too. And it's
Really?
and yeah, Talita has been here, but Titi has, when she's not here.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only done meditation naked once, though.
I've done it a few times.
Yeah, and it was nice.
It's good.
It was just like, oh, this feels nice.
Okay, so that's what we have for you this week, the motivation, and we'll be back next week.
With your permission.
And that is all we have for you this week.
Make sure you follow Permission the Podcast.
And we'll be back next week
With
your permission.